Hello everyone and welcome. It's the iRacing Le Mans series live from Suzuka. My name is Marco Barbanera and I am excited to bring you this fourth round of the season. Joseph Ringrose will join me in just a matter of time. And it's a beautiful day here in Japan, of course. We have many high quality drivers signing up for this event, 1 hour race, and qualifying is just winding down, so the drivers are getting their laps in. Final few chances to do so, and so let's get a very quick overview of the situation right now. Dylan Mann is the pole sitter in the LMP1. Let's see Patrick Wolf if he can get in front of him. I don't think he can, and with only 1 minute left, of course, that's it for his qualifying run. Let's see, Johan Hart for Apex Racing Team gets the provisional pole right now. In the LMP2 it's Fraser Williamson in the lead. Thibaut Casobon is your pole sitter right now in the GTE class, a very high quality strength of field there as well, with Mac Bakum temporarily in second. Coming through the S's, of course, no chance for him to complete this lap. As we are trying to get back to Joseph. Joseph, are you there?
I am here.
Great, and so while Joseph gets back into the session, we wait for the qualifying to switch over, and we will go through the starting grid for this 1 hour event here from Suzuka. And the session switches over right now, and we are getting ready to go through the starting grid, and here we go. Pole position for Johan Hart in the LMP1 class. Dylan Mann is in second and Michael Mittner. Patrick Wolf is in fourth. Ricardo Schiavone and Alexi Laine. Then Christoph Weiss, Julien Ribolot, Martin Jon, Klaus-Dietrich Schulze, Niklas Schneider and Mark Harrison in P12. Robert Edward and Sylvain Morin round up the LMP1 field. Fraser Williamson, your pole sitter in front of Alex Traynor, Ronnie Fantini and Teemu Toikka. Then Arkadiusz Neumann, Jeremiah Morton, Michael Evdoka, Carlos Benedi and Maria Olvek. Pole sitter for the GT, Thibaut Casobon, Mac Bakum, Kim Eriksson, Jack Sedgwick and Jorn Jens. Then Moritz Lohner, Matteo Golotti, Barry Morrison, Andy Pearce, Dennis Branch, Xavier Rabiot, Lars Moldenauer, Thomas Ince in P36 overall, then Arthur Amro, Bobby Zalensky, and rounding up the grid is Dominic Blyer. So we are getting ready to go. Short pace lap this time around, of course, with the cars basically starting out in the entrance of the penultimate corner of the track, the very famous 130R. As we are just waiting for everyone to jump in on the starting grid, and then we will be ready to go. Hello to everyone watching, of course, following us on the on YouTube and on the race chat as well. Your input is more than welcome. In the description of the video you can find the link to the live timing, so if you want to follow also the times of these drivers, you can do so. And I think we are about to roll, and that is exactly what's happening right now.
I'm in the session now, Marco.
Yes, so welcome, Joseph.
Good to be back after not being in last week. And as Marco brilliantly introduced the starting grid, and we can see the Apex Racing Team car of Johan Hart leading out Dylan Mann and Michael Mittner and Patrick Wolf on the front two rows in your LMP1 field with the brand new Porsche pace car. As they're building up, going into the final couple of corners now. Johan Hart will decide when to go when the green flag drops. Johan has gone. Seems to be a good start. Caught Dylan Man out a bit there. Michael Minter got right onto the back of Johan. At the start, Dylan Man falls back to 4th place. Minter up to 2nd and Patrick Wolf up to 3rd. Here's your LMP2 field. Ronnie Fantini leads the way after jumping Alex Trainer and Fraser Williamson at the start. And Marco very close on the back of the LMP1 field. And the ever-competitive GT field very, very close with the Apex cars, the Commander cars and the Williams cars all fighting out there. As you can see, Johan continues to lead in the prototype class with Patrick Wolf in 3rd and Alexia Lane in 5th place. Dylan Man getting over the back of the PRT car there, Marco.
Yes, great start from Patrick Wolf there. He was really, really brave down up 1 position. Of course, the biggest loser, I'd say, of the start is Dylan Man, but I think he was taking it easy. He knows that starting at the front is good if you can stay, you know, I mean, in contact with the leaders and not be stuck in traffic. Traffic that, Joseph, is going to be, I guess, a big, big issue tonight with the way this track is shaped, and we have 39 cars on the field, so not the biggest field, but still it's going to be complicated because, of course, we have a good number of LMP2s and a big, big number of GTs.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks that is very, very hard to manage in terms of the multi-class aspect, especially through the S's. It's quite hard to pass through there for the LMP1 drivers over the GTE drivers. As we see Alexi Lane falling back through the field there and just seems to be getting, well, there's a sit duck on the straights, it seems like, as Nicholas Schneider goes for a move on Martin June, by the looks of it, in his Silver Sport eSports car. And Fraser Williamson makes a move for the lead in your LMP2 category.
And he does it. Ronnie Fantini pushed back to 2nd place. Alex Trainor is in 3rd. Teemu Toika and Arkadiusz Neumann are rounding up the top 5 in this class. We also have some fighting here in the GTE class with Jack Sedgwick putting some pressure on Kim Eriksson right in front of him, whilst Bakum and Casobon are trying to pull away from this group.
Yeah, of course, we had the round 1 of the iRacing VRS GT World Championship at the weekend at Spa. We're kind of coming out on top, and next round Suzuka. So this is a very, very good opportunity for those Pro World Championship drivers to get some early testing, and you can see the majority of the front of the field: Casabon, Bakum, Ericsson, Sedgwick, Jens, Ugolotti, Lona, all making up as part of the all racing in the VRS World Championship Series, Marco.
Absolutely, and that's of course a testament to the quality of this field. In front of the LMP1 category, we have a two-way battle right now between Art and Mittner, with Patrick Wolf not far behind, Dylan Man as well, then Schiavon, with the top 2 guys having a little bit of an advantage over the rest of the field. We don't have the winner of the first 2 rounds we showed you for this season, of course. Tom Mitchellmore, who is battling with connection issues, so he won't be with us, and that means we are sorry, of course. That means we will have a new winner today for this season. As we see, it's, you know, this of course the race is going to change a lot when we come to, you know, lap traffic, because especially if you get a lapped car there at the S's, you really need to be on the same page with that car if you want to make a move. Otherwise, you can you know, have a problem or lose a lot of time behind said slower class car.
Yeah, we saw this in the Neo Endurance Series not so long ago, and it's a very, very difficult track for multi-class racing, with the just supreme difference in speed between the fastest and slowest class. You know, some of the proto drivers can sometimes get a bit too eager and maybe make sort of dangerous lunges on these GT drivers, so that's not ideal for those. And again, it's all about management with traffic. It's very different to say Neo or SCO because it's only a 1 hour sprint race essentially. You know, no driver swaps or anything. It's a single driver event. So these drivers are essentially going all out to try and get the highest position possible. Whereas in a 24-hour race or a 6-hour race, you know, there's going to be a lot less risks taken to try and make the end, as we see the SimRC driver all over the back of the Apex car.
Early stop for Sylvain Morin. I guess he had some issues because I think he is way too early, of course, for a regular scheduled stop, and so LMP1 field already losing one of their participants. As you can see just by a quick look at the track map, the LMP1s are, I think, 1 or 2 laps away from getting to the back of the GT field.
Yep, about 30 seconds off. If we look at the qualifying times, the fastest guys are about 18, 17 seconds faster. So maybe sort of a lap and a half. So maybe the start of lap 6, we'll see the lead LMP1 guys catch the back of the GT field.
Let's see the strengths of field: 4.4k LMP1, 4k LMP2, and 5.4k for the GT field.
Does look like Dylan Mann's got a bit of damage to the right rear of that car that he seems to be nursing. A bit slow in the straight line. So potentially he's got that from something that we didn't see, Marco.
Yes, absolutely. And the event viewer here in Suzuka is quite tricky because every time the cars brake for the... as Sylvain Morin is back on the track right now. Every time the cars brake for the hairpin, they get flagged for an incident. We have a pass for the lead.
Mittner up into the lead. So he's obviously made that down the pit straight, and that battling between the Frenchman of Half and the German of Mittner, it might be Austrian, sorry, has allowed Patrick Wolff to close the gap up very slightly. He's built a bit of a gap to shave on, as Dylan was behind Patrick Wolff. So Dylan's had his own issues and allowed Patrick to just kind of be on his own. We're going to see maybe what happened to Dylan. So he already has damage at this point.
Yes, and now I think he went a bit wide. Just a bit wide, but yeah, he's struggling with his car, absolutely.
Yeah, that damage is definitely not going to help him, especially through that first section of the track where downforce is very key through those S's. So here we see Sylvain Morin getting through the lead GT by the looks of things, and Mac Backham is on the back of Thibaut Casabon.
Fight for the GT lead is going to be absolutely tasty. Two of the best drivers in iRacing right now slugging it out. As behind them Ericsson and Sedgwick are struggling to find, the same pace that these guys are having. As Schulze is defending from Alexi Line. Let's go back to this battle for the lead in GT.
Both in the BMW M8, Marco. So, no difference between the... well, a couple of differences with the setup and the driver. No sort of difference in car. So, Mac Backham's going to have to do everything he can to try and get past Casabon. But what he might decide to do is might decide to wait until the stops, save some fuel, and then he doesn't have to fill up as much at the stop, Marco. And then gains that time in the pit stop and gets the jump. Johan Half is still behind Mittner.
Yeah, that has been a popular strategy in these races. As I think we are about to get the lapping underway. I see some cars in front of the leaders and Art fancying his chances.
Maybe a slight difference in boost strategy between the two teams. Maybe Apex using a bit more boost than SimRC out of that hairpin, and and Mittner has hit the Torque Freak car. Don't know whether Mittner's going to have damage, but he got stuck behind, boxed in. Johan Half was allowed to slip up the inside. So obviously Johan was faster into this section. Mittner went for a bit of a foul move on the GT and then got boxed in. Went to pull out and Johan was there. Goes back and then realises that the GT is there. Just go on with an onboard shot. Yeah, just a little bit over optimistic there from Mittner. That's allowed Johan to get ahead.
Oh, and he's slowing down. Patrick Wolf went past him.
Yeah, so he's definitely got damage from that, and Shavon's on the back as well.
Yeah, as they are navigating their way through the S's. And you know, it's easy of course to say it from here, but it was maybe a matter of thinking about, you know, there's 1 hour of racing, basically 50 minutes left. Maybe it was time to, you know, put the aggressiveness to the side and, you know, maybe, you know, let Johan go through and try to pass him later.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going through a driver's mind when in one of these races, especially with such competitive field with Johan and Mittner battling it out with Patrick Wolf behind. You know, these drivers are very, very fast, and sometimes their heart and passion will kind of just lead them away and just want to be ahead track position, Marco. Some drivers think differently than others, but some just want the track position as Sedgwick and Ericsson continue to battle.
So losing a little bit of ground in this exchange, going through, of course, the LMP1s were going through them at the Casio Triangle, as we have in front of them. I think that is Schiavon going by past Mittner. So Mittner surely, let's see if we can get a view. He's already too far out, but surely some damage to the right, to the front side of that yellow LMP1 of Michael Mittner. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's got to be something done to that car, because he wasn't lacking this much pace when he was up there with Johan. So yeah, there's definitely something on there. Here's Matteo Ugolotti racing against John Jens. LMP1 still trying to find their way through. Very close with the Audi there. Ball back. John Jens getting a bit loose there, as the LMP1s continue to file through. It's going to go round the outside. Oh, and Ugolotti's hit the LMP1 there.
Now losing a bit of momentum there.
I don't know if that would have given Ugolotti damage, but I believe I saw some damage on the LMP1 car. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Nicholas Schneider. As the final couple of LMP1s fly through the GTE pack. Head over to our LMP2s. We haven't seen these guys in a while, and Fraser continues to lead the race. A bit of a stable gap between all of the drivers towards the front.
Also, we have the wild card of Sylvain Morin trying to make his way through the field, and now he's up to the LMP2 class cars. He's basically just went past the last LMP2, which was Maria Olwek, and now he's got Carlos Bendi in front of him. And of course, these cars won't get the blue flag, and when you don't get the blue flag, you know, if you're maybe in a battle or not paying attention, all of a sudden you find an LMP1 screaming past you in your rearview mirrors, and it's never a pleasant experience.
Indeed. As we continue to stumble to Schiavon, and the lead guys haven't pulled away as much as I thought they would, Marco, with the likes of Patrick and Johan. I'll be honest, I was expecting Patrick, Johan and Michael to pull away from Shavon, but he's proven me wrong, and he's sitting a comfortable P3 at the moment. Bit of a gap down to from Mittner to Wheat. So, fair play to Ricardo Shavon, doing a pretty good job at the moment.
He's really pushing hard. He had the fastest sector 4 of everyone in this past lap, where he was the quickest of the top 3 with a 40.1, half a second quicker than Patrick Wolf and a couple of tenths quicker than Johan Hart. So really he's pushing hard, and in the meantime Ugo Lotti went past Jorn Jens, who's also putting 2 wheels on the grass there. At the Casio triangle, will he go for a response at the end of the front? So of course the first corner is a very, very tough corner to pass because there's not that big of a braking zone there.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to make a move, especially in GT cars. In something like in the LMP1s, it's slightly easier because you can use your battery usage, or in F1 you can use DRS. But these GT machines don't have any of those fancy tricks that they can use to their advantage to make moves. So essentially you are just going to be using the slipstream, and we're going to get a replay of Ugo Lotti's move on Jorn Jens. And yeah,
he made a mistake.
Makes a bit of a mistake there. And yeah, essentially just a free position there for Ugo Lotti. And Jack Sedgwick is the next car up for Ugo Lotti.
Absolutely. As the sun is back out, we've seen some variable cloud cover so far in this first 16 minutes of racing. Of course, drivers love when there's a bit of cloud cover. The lap times drop almost immediately, and you get a little bit more out of your tires. Teemu Toika is getting passed by Sylvain Morin, so he is now up to the lead of the LMP2 field. Meantime, Alexi Laine under pressure and passed by Martin Jon for P10 overall, and in the LMP1 field, whilst Casobon and Bakum still very, very close to each other.
Yeah, very, very close, and they seem to have pulled away from Ericsson, Sedgwick, Ugo Lotti. That battle for the final podium position. Bakum seems to have a bit more of a run here, but I don't think he's going to go for a move. Yeah, he's just going to sit back for now. Not much point in fighting this hard, costing each other time. But Bakum is going to want to get past Casabon.
Now we're getting a nice view of the Coanda paint job on the newly released BMW M2s. As you can see on the left side of your screen, it's proving to be a very, very popular car. We have lots of BMWs, a couple of Porsches and one Ferrari in the field, in the GT field today.
Yep, obviously a lot of these guys picking it in the World Championship Series, so they're obviously going to be sticking that, working on the setup to stick with that. And Mac Bakum, is that contact there? There is contact between the TX3 and Coanda driver into the hairpin. Maybe Bakum wasn't expecting Casabon to be that slow into the corner.
That was a very, very close call. It doesn't take much to spin your opponent if you hit him in the rear in that particular corner there, because you are turning all the way. So hopefully they didn't get any kind of damage, and Bakum may be trying for a move again here on 130R.
Yeah, as Casabon goes defensive, I don't think Bakum will go right down the outside. Maybe into the Casio triangle though. Is Bakum going to go for that move? Well, more contact between the two, but Casabon stays ahead for the moment, bouncing over those curbs, and Bakum's going to stay in the slipstream for this long pit straight.
Oh!
Very, very close there, Marco. I thought they were going to spin each other down the pit straight, but Bakum getting very, very aggressive at this stage of the race. Maybe taking too many risks, Marco.
Yes, but we are enjoying a great fight, so you know, I'm okay with that. You know, usually in the GT field, you see that the race, you know, usually they wait a bit and then they fight it out in the final few minutes. Instead, today we are seeing some battling straight from the get-go for the lead of the race. And don't worry, we will go back to the other classes soon enough, but this is too good to, you know, turn our cameras away from. As once again, seems like Bakum is enjoying some better drive out of the corners as Man goes in the pits from P6 in the LMP1 field.
This would have been where his pit window opened. Obviously, we saw the damage that he got early on in this race, and he would have just been waiting until he can refuel till its full capacity and still be able to make the end of the race. So he'll get those repairs done and go back out on track.
Also, of course, let's remind the viewers that we have an incident limit in place, 17 incident points, and you are off, so you have to be careful of you know, not hitting too many opponents and not going wide in corners such as the 130R here. As they break hard for the Casio triangle, once again bouncing on those curbs. And another lap will go in the books with Bakum still chasing Casobon without being able to pass him, as Dylan Mann is having quite a long stop. Let's go back to the lead of the race then. Johan Hart. Then we have Patrick Wolf, Schiavon, and Mittner, after his issues earlier, has been able to, you know, find some kind of groove back. And now he's sitting in 4th place and hasn't dropped from 4th place, so he's still very, very, you know, he's still there. Of course, not ideal when you have damage so early in the race, but still, he's keeping it in the front of the field and is giving himself a chance for whatever might happen later in the race.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have affected him so much. In the first couple of laps he lost a bit of pace, but since then he seems pretty okay. He's been able to keep with Shaver on there enough, and Shaven's only really a second off of Patrick Wolf as we see the battle for the final podium spot in the LMP2 class of Alex Trainer and Timo Toika. Many times we speak about this, the LMP2 class is essentially a spec class with only the HPD being available to use. We don't have a updated LMP2, but this is what we have at the moment, and you know, it's a pretty fun car to drive, and you know, a good turn up today.
Absolutely, of course, a car that puts everyone on an equal basis. An old car, like you said, even though these cars have raced against each other, the P2s and P1s, in the early days of the hybrid regulations in Le Mans, which was, you know, several years ago. It has been almost a decade, I think, since we, you know, hybrid cars have been allowed into the 24-hour of Le Mans. But yes, of course, it's an old car, and we know also iRacing has changed the way they build their cars. So this has become true. I mean, we've got confirmation of this in a recent post by John Henry on the Skip Barber forum, talking about how different the Skip Barber is compared to the, you know, more recent cars, and because of the way iRacing builds a car, and so you need a certain, you know, different approach to the car, to the setup, you know, but on the other end is a car that these drivers know very, very, very well, because it has been around for, you know, several years now. So always a popular choice, and it's nice to have so many drivers using it in this particular race. Let's go back to Mac Bakum there, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. Many drivers choosing to pit. Ribolo is in the pits as well. Olwek is in as well from in the LMP2 field. But this battle here, I think, I'm guessing Bakum is thinking the advantage I can get by, you know, staying behind and saving some fuel will not be that big. So he's keeping the pressure on, and I think if Casobon makes a mistake, he's pouncing in and going for the overtake. We've already seen that in a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pushing Casabon to try and make a mistake. You know, he's going to want to get past. He's going to probably be able to have saved a little bit of fuel compared to Casabon, who's been out front the whole time. Oh, is that contact? I think that was contact between Half and Casabon there, and this has given Backham a bit of a run on the back of Casabon, but they're going to have to be wary of the other LMP1s that are going to be coming through. Patrick Wolf, Shavon cutting right over the two BMWs, getting up into P2 as the PSR car passes the PRT car, but positions held in GTE.
Crazy moment there. I love when these LMP1s dart from behind the slower class cars, and they do so making it look effortless as Mittner is in the pits. It was a crazy moment, that one. Change of position, of course, like you said. Schiavon up to P2 in class and in overall, but like you said, in the GT, it all remains the same with Casobon and Bakum first and second.
Jack Sedgwick has got himself up into P3 now, though, after jumping Kim Eriksson. I mean, Kim Eriksson got a bit unlucky with traffic because he seems to have dropped back a bit. It's closer to Ugolotti compared to Jack. And now we're going to see BMW versus the Porsche. And Black Star driver loses the back end, makes a little mistake, and yeah, it's just allowed Jack Sedgwick to get past. And you know, pretty ideal for Jack. He's not had to put in much effort for that move, and essentially been gifted to him.
Absolutely. Moritz Lohner under pressure from Jorn Jens. As they go into 130R again, this is for P6 in class, as already we are getting closer to the halfway mark of this race. Oh, tough situation here. LMP1s, LMP2s and GTs getting to the Casio triangle.
Yeah, this is one of those horrible sections on the track to catch that, because sometimes GTs will take the curbs a bit more than the P1s, and you know, as we saw, what nearly could have been a really bad accident between Casabon and Johan Half.
I think just behind these guys, or sorry, just in front of these guys, of course, is the battle for the lead, as we have a couple of faster cars going through and giving a little bit of rest to Casobon, because the gap goes up to 1 second and a bit right now. Oh, look at that. Be careful, guys. Cars darting left and right. Casobon doesn't want to lose his advantage there. As, I mean, the gap is now up to 1.3 seconds, so a good move there from Casobon, even if a bit risky. He's able, you know, we talk about traffic management, and I think that was a perfect example of it by Casobon. Risky, but with a big reward.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be
going. Oh, spin there.
Alex Trainer lost about, held it, thankfully. Otherwise, Bakken could have had a bit of an incident there. But yeah, that's well played by Casobon. He didn't want the HBD to get past him in the hairpin, otherwise we would have lost a lot of time. But yeah, gained a bit of an advantage and just got out the draft of Matt Bakken.
So Schiavon, slowly but surely up to P2 in class, and he's having a good run. 3 positions gained from his starting one. Patrick Wolf, not as at his best. I mean, he's hanging there for the podium, so nothing to be ashamed of. But remember, we were used to have him and Don Farber last season winning just about every other race or so. And they are still winless in the broadcast race, of course, missing last week both himself and Dominic. So nice to have Patrick Wolf back for this one. I've heard he's very, very, you know, occupied with doing some new liveries for his car, Patrick Wolf is. So maybe that's why he's a bit slower today.
Yeah, and he's come off the back of racing in the VRS World Championship as well. Racing in that one of those PRT Fords. And, you know, typically we know him as a prototype driver, but good to see him also dabbling a bit of GT cars as well, Marco.
Absolutely. And I know he's one of those guys that can be quick. In any car he jumps in, basically. So lap 19 starting right now. It's the halfway point of the race. Let's get a quick rundown of the classes then. Johan Hart, your leader, in front of Riccardo Schiavon, who's a couple of seconds back, and then there is Patrick Wolf. Then in the LMP2 is Fraser Williamson in the lead. Ronnie Fantini is in second and Alex Traynor is in third. It is similar to the situation in LMP1, with the leader having a little bit of a gap over P2 and P3, who are very close together. Casobon has pulled away from Mac Pacum 1.2 seconds. I mean, it's the biggest, one of the biggest gaps of the day between these two guys. Jack Sedgwick is in third and is pulling away from Ericsson, Golotti, Lohner and the like. So the races in the various classes are taking shape, and we are waiting for the... I mean, the pit stops already started because we've had several drivers to come in for their stop, but of course we are waiting for the front runner in all three of the classes to come in, and then we can have a clearer picture of the race.
See the LMP1's getting past GTEs through the S's. Vital that they get past early on there, because they don't want to be held up through this section. Roblo staying in front of Alexi Lane as come up to the back of the Apex Racing Team car of Matteo Golotti. So coming up to the GT leaders now, very close.
So Joseph, we are seeing some issues with the traffic, but not maybe as bad as we were expecting, meaning contact between... I mean, of course, this is the big race of the week for these guys, so maybe a little bit of extra patience, I should say, or maybe a little bit of extra judgment, because, I mean, there's half of the race left, so I don't want to jinx this, but seems like everyone is behaving quite nicely.
Yep, I'll be honest, Marco, I was expecting this race to be havoc for some of these guys, but it's not been too bad. We haven't really seen any major incidents. We've seen the odd sort of touch between the drivers here and there, but we haven't seen anything too bad. I believe Riccardo Schiavon and Patrick Wolf are closing in a bit on the LMP1 leaders on our own half. Yeah, the gap's come down a bit. 2 seconds now.
Let's get the time delta. And you are absolutely right, the gap is shrinking just a bit. A few laps ago, lap 15 was 2.5 seconds, now it's 1.8, 1.7 as they go through the Casio triangle, so the gap is coming down. Not massively, but it is coming down. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we go on. Of course, like we said, traffic is going to play a huge part as Art goes past one of the GT cars. Now Schiavon and Wolf will do the same. Who is going to be the first guy to blink out of these three? Of course, let's remind you that as we talk about the traffic and the yo-yo effect, now it's Bakum back, half a second behind the Casobon. So you know, sometimes it helps you, sometimes it doesn't help you, and Casobon is back under pressure. Talking about the pit stops, of course, Joseph, as per usual, we are going to get a fuel-only stop. No advantage in taking tires in this series. So, I mean, the undercut is not a traditional undercut where you get you know, fresher tires earlier, but maybe it can help you in the sense of if you can pit and come out outside of the traffic whilst your rival gets in traffic. So
Yeah.
that may be the difference.
Yeah, sometimes having a spotter will help with that kind of thing, because it's it's quite hard to tell the traffic when you're in the car. So, you know, having a spotter will definitely help that. But you want to kind of run the tank as low as you can, because obviously, you know, the less fuel you have in the car, the lighter the car is, the quicker the car will be. So they're going to be looking to get that down and coming in as late as possible and fill up as little as possible, so they can be spend their time in the pits as little as possible, as back and cuts off the prototype driver there. Not wanting to come through there, but they're going to have to come through somewhere.
Yes, as the Audi goes past, gaps remains around 0.5 of a second. Casubon going a bit wide, just a bit wide, nothing major there as they go to the hairpin once again. 25 minutes left in this race. This is certainly the closest and most important battle of the field, but I'm also waiting a bit on what is going to happen at the front of the LMP1 field after the pit stops. That could be a very interesting end of the race. I'm imagining these two guys will stop as late as possible. Of course, in a GT car you have, if I'm not mistaken, the best fuel economy in the field. You can stop basically as late as you want. That should be Dylan Mann coming behind these guys. Dylan sadly in P13, losing 11 places since the start of the race. He should be okay with his fuel, I'd imagine. Maybe he can get those positions back, some of those positions back. No, he's pitting again, so okay. I jinxed him. Too bad, because we were expecting a nice post-race interview with him. We promised fireworks in the post-race interview, and that's not going to happen, sadly.
Yeah, it looks like Dylan's called it a day, with the damage that he sustained early on in this race. So, bit of a shame. But next week, I'm not even sure what track next week is. I'll have to have a look at the end. But hopefully he'll come back and race the broadcasted race next week. But we'll continue to focus on this battle between Thibaut Caswan of TX3 by Thrustmaster and Mac Backham of VRS Commander Simsport.
Next week we will be at Watkins Glen in the classic boot configuration, so I can imagine these guys will have fun or not, depends, with the slipstream effect in that backstretch of Watkins Glen without the chicane. As look at that, Schiavon is absolutely on fire, getting so close to Art. I think he might fancy a move now.
Yep, he's close, and these two haven't pitted. Well, none of the lead prototype guys have pitted. Marco Mittner 49 seconds off this lead, off the leaders. They're coming up to lap Silver Moran, who made a very early up on lap 3. Are either these guys going to box? Nope, staying out. So, still very close. Is Moran going to let Ricciardo go? Seems as if he will.
So Patrick Wolf is not that far behind these guys, so should anything happen at the front, and that's of course not counting any possible issue with the pit stops or different strategies, etc., he's 100% in the fight for the race win.
Yeah, if these guys get into a bit of a heated battle, although Patrick has lost a bit of time in traffic through the S's, being stuck behind Fraser Williamson in the LMP2 class. Yeah, he's lost a bit of time. 4 seconds back from Ricciardo now. So that's not ideal for him. He's going to want to look to get that back and hopefully get a bit fortunate in traffic compared to your P1 and P2.
Of course, he was he was in the hunt for the victory at Monza, and a very unfortunate pit stop robbed him of that chance, clipping the pit lane wall of all places to avoid an LMP2 car. Let's get an update on the weather while we are at it. Temperature is, as both the leaders go in, 24 degrees is the temperature, 43 the track temperature. A bit of wind, 17 kilometers per hour, and partly cloudy, and we've seen the sun appear and disappear over the course of the race. So let's see how these two guys perform in their pit stop.
I'm gonna see who's gonna, if anyone jumps anyone, as who's that? Is Christoph White's also in the pits?
Yes, he is. Let's go on board with Schiavon, who is
Schiavon's
exiting first.
Jump, Johan. Maybe Johan had to take a bit of repairs from earlier. Obviously, we saw that incident between him and Casabon. And Ugolotti teammates with Half. Is he going to be able to let him through nice and cleanly? Indeed he is.
Oh, disaster for Johan Arden. He loses the lead and now has to battle with the traffic through the S's. That should be the LMP2 race leader, Fraser Williamson, if I'm not mistaken.
Luckily for Johan, Ricardo has also got some traffic of his own to deal with. As, yep, manages to get past. Johan's going to want to get past before Degner 1. It's not going to happen. He's going to have to get him on and run into the hairpin. But this is going to be all very close to the back of the LMP2. This is going to be an 18-minute sprint race for the win, Marco.
Might be that the biggest winner of these two pit stops is Patrick Wolf. We shall see. I think he's going to come in, not this lap, or maybe this lap. Yes, or not. Boom. The answer is yes. Let's keep an eye on where he comes out and how long does it take for him to take the pit stop. These two opponents had a 42 and 43 second pit lane time respectively.
Yeah, the gap between Schiavon and Half is 1 second at the moment, and Schiavon seems a bit faster in the straights. He's going to get past Backham and Casabon, and Johan's going to be stuck behind Casabon in the Casio triangle. This isn't what Johan needs. I think these two should stick ahead of Patrick Wolf unless he has some mighty pit stop. And, yeah, stays ahead. Schiavon making the move on the LMP2, and Johan is going to be stuck behind two of them going up the S's. Got very close to the back of Jeremiah Morton there.
Yes, you know, long pit stop for Patrick Wolf. 55 seconds pit lane time. So something must have gone wrong there for Patrick Wolf, because I thought he had a chance, you know, to gain something on his opponents, but now he has also dropped one place. And I think that Mittner already had his pit stop. Let's see from the graphic. Yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, everyone has pitted in the.
Mittner had his very early pit stop. The damage, obviously, he had with the Torque Freak car early on in the race. So, yeah, he would have got damage from that, and obviously we saw his pace drop off a bit, so he must have made that early pit stop to repair the damage. I'm assuming that Patrick had some damage on his car, so maybe had to take some repairs.
No, if someone is watching and is new to the series, we have to explain that sometimes, especially with the LMP1 cars, you might see a perfect car on the outside, but these cars are so sensitive to damage. Even taking a curb too hard can really impact your performance, Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You could get some floor damage, and floor damage is pretty hard to repair, if it's even possible, sometimes. Sometimes you can get the damage repaired and it's all good, but it will lose you a lot of time. And it's something that you want to avoid at all costs, because in these LMP1 cars, as soon as you get a bit of damage, you lose a hell of a lot of time.
So let's compare in a bit we will compare the delta, oh no, we will do it right now, between the first position and the fourth position, that being Schiavon and Patrick Wolf, and we can see, I mean, the gap, ignore of course the penultimate lap, that was when Wolf was out, but see that the gap was around 1.9 seconds and now it's 16 seconds, so he lost really a lot of time in that pit stop there, so surely he had some damage or a penalty. I don't know. Usually a penalty is 15 seconds more than the average pit stop time for your class, and his was 13 seconds slower, so you know, maybe he had a penalty.
Potentially. He maybe would have had a shorter pit stop and then the penalty, maybe speeding in the pits, but it's difficult to say. Maybe if Patrick comes for an interview, we can ask him what happened, as Backham is still chasing Casabon. 13 and a half minutes to go, and these guys still have not come in for their pit stops.
Someone in the chat is saying speeding in the pits for Patrick. I don't know if it's a guess or insider information. Because if that is insider information, thank you very much for providing it to us. Let's see the gap between Casabon, who's got in for the pit.
Casabon in, yep, Casabon in, back him out.
So he must have heard me. Pointless to show the gap now. And let's see his pit stop. You can follow and track his pit stop time and pit lane time, as Ericsson also and Ugolotti go in, and Jens and Lohner. You can track their pit stops in the bottom of your screen.
So Sedgwick and Backham stay out. They're going to have to push like mad. Backham to try and get past Casabon. It's going to be difficult, but Backham's going to be doing everything in his power to secure that lead position in GTE.
Casabon comes out of the pits. Let's pull the track map on, and he has clean track ahead and behind. So nice pit stop for him. So now let's go back and follow what Mac Backum is doing, keeping also an eye on the battle for the lead, because Schiavon and Art, less than half a second between the two of them. Tell you what, let's switch to that battle there. Because Art is really aggressive. I mean, aggressive. He's really showing good pace in this back half of the race. And after trouble coming out of the pits in traffic and dropping back from Schiavon, he is now very close.
Yeah, they've got a bit of GT traffic ahead. They're going to want to try and... Well, Sharon's going to want to try and get through that as fast as possible and hold up Yo and hope that he doesn't get as good traffic. Looks like he'll get past Dominic Blager up, maybe into the hairpin.
Oi! Schiavon on the grass there. Art sends the car on the inside of the BMW. I don't know how Schiavon was able to save it, because for a second I thought he braked on the grass. That was so close to a disaster for the race leader.
Yeah, there was a little swerve there from the BMW, and I think he didn't really want them to go through, but Schiavon had none of that and just, you know, said to him, you know, I'm taking that spot. I want to stay ahead of Johan Half.
Backum and Sedgwick and Jens and company are in. Super close between these two.
So close. Casabon just keeps it, but that has definitely gained Backham some time, and there's going to be the battle for P1 in LMP1. And yeah, Sherman's just a bit faster on the straight, so the other half's not really going to have a chance.
No, 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 you are absolutely right. I was expecting a better exit, but maybe Schiavon saved a bit of a boost coming out of the final chicane. I tell you what, we are going to have two amazing battles going down the wire in LMP1 and GTE. I feel a bit sorry for the LMP2 guys. Oh, bad traffic situation there for Schiavon.
Gonna be able to stay ahead.
Joseph, how is it even, possible to resist for 10 minutes under such a massive pressure from behind?
Oh, these drivers just gotta keep cool. These drivers would have raced in, Neo, SCO, where the competition really is at the top level, and
Oh, they
there's
touch!
a bit of contact. Yep, contact between the two. Doesn't seem to be any damage, but as a driver, once you get to some, it comes naturally. Some, it just comes with experience of racing at the top level. They don't crack under pressure, and Johan Half is gonna send it down the outside of Ricardo Schiavon. Side by side, is that contact? Ever so slightly, maybe. But they got very, very close, and Johan Half up into P1.
Yeah, fantastic exit, but Schiavon is responding. Fantastic stuff, Joseph.
Pass. Yeah, very, very good racing between the two drivers, and Jack Sedgwick on his own now. Doesn't really want to get involved with these guys. Wants to ensure they get past cleanly, as they do.
You could hear Schiavon boosting just as we switch the camera. As we go into the Degners, tricky corners. In GTE, Causebon still in front of Bakum by 0.6 of a second, and now traffic as they go through the hairpin again.
The LMP1 battle and the GTE battle coming into one. And in both categories, it's the green and the blue car leading, but both have separate teams. PSR in LMP1 and TX3 in GTE. Apex P2 in LMP1 and Coanda P2 in GTE. We have just over 7 minutes to go, Mark.
Sorry, Joseph. No, sorry.
Yep, just over 7 minutes to go, and it's going to be very close. I've just seen a very good notification on my phone.
Yeah, I can confirm. I don't know if you are talking about my notification. But I have a new one, yeah. Let's see in the GT field, Bakum and Casobon as the clock is ticking down. I always say we should have split screen. I don't think iRacing will implement it. I mean, our software developer Pascal can do so much, but split screen, sadly, without iRacing's help is not possible, because this is a situation where, like the darts, a split screen will make it better and easier to cover, as traffic is penalizing Bakum right now. So let's go back to the battle for the LMP1 lead.
Still that gap between the two opened up to about 7 tenths now. On lap 32, and we're projected to have 35 laps, so a 3-lap scrap to the end, Marco, is what we believe we will have.
Exactly. Even my dog is so excited by this battle, as you can probably hear in the background. But now Schiavon having a little bit of a break. Let's see if Art saves some boost for the front stretch. He made a little bit of a mistake at Spoon.
I think Schiavon has been using a bit more boost down this pit straight. He seemed to be typically faster, and he's using it again. Typically faster over the lap, over the course of the pit straight, even in terms of straight line speed. So maybe a bit more boost. A different deploy strategy that we were talking about earlier on, Marco, between the two drivers.
And that's what makes these races so interesting, of course. You know, you have this extra variable of the when you boost and when you don't boost, and you know you can have advantages in different parts of the racetrack. As some more traffic in front for Schiavon. It's GT cars. He gets through them. Will Johan Hart be boxed?
He's going to be boxed behind one of them, but he's going to get past the other. The gap's now 1.1 seconds.
See a comparison of the gap between these two in the last 5 laps. And you can see how he's you know, changing. Of course, there's been an overtake on lap 30. Now back in front is Schiavon with his biggest lead of the race, which is saying something, of course. And now back to Alpha second as they go back to the front stretch.
Yep, 9/10 the gap again. And it's just... Is it coming down a bit? No, it's being extended. And there's going to be a bit of a gap. After Andy Pears, there is a big gap of 20 seconds for any more traffic. So we should see about a lap where we won't see any cars.
Yes, here we go with the track map. You are absolutely right. Here is Andy Pears, and the next car is Thomas Ince, and he's at the chicane. Sorry, at the hairpin, of course. Just a quick check on the battle for the GT field, GT class. Gap is identical, 0.6 of a second between first and second place. And Bakum is missing just a bit, I think, of pace. But he is there, and of course when you are there you are putting so much pressure on... I mean, we are talking about World Championship caliber drivers, so it's like you said, being under pressure is their job basically. But when you have a driver like Mac Bakum right behind you, the moment you make a mistake, you know you are going to get punished. And of course there's the added trouble of traffic as an LMP1 machine goes through. While at the front, 1 second still the gap between Schiavon and Hart.
I think we'll be getting 2 more laps, Marco. 2 minutes 20 to go, and we cross over onto lap 35. So there will definitely be time for 2 more laps.
As we say hello to Ervan Woodstram, Mr. Audi, not racing tonight with us. And we are missing him because we only have 1 Audi in the field. Just as a, you know, quick comparison of lap times, by the way. The best lap for each category, 39.0 for the LMP1s, 47.7 for the LMP2s, and 55.0 for the GT, so you can have an idea of the, you know, more or less the difference in speed between the classes tonight.
Gap sticking at 1 second. Lost the gap between Casabon and Bakum. Let's head over to there for a second. See the gap in the remaining couple of laps.
Lots of traffic behind them. They will be caught by this traffic for sure. Just a quick mention of the leader Fraser Williamson in the LMP2 field. I mean, he doesn't have a big gap, but he's always been in control, and that's what we expect from Fraser. He's always there, you know, in the lead of the race, and he's really good at not being phased by his opponents. So you are right, the white flag will be in the air right now. There's a little bit of a sketchy moment there for Schiavon with that Porsche.
1.1
yeah,
seconds the gap over the line. So Johan's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get past Riccardo Schiavon. Not a heap of traffic either, Marco. We're only going to see Blaja here early on in the lap. And then we've got Rabo, Zelensky and Jens very close together. About 10 seconds in front of them. So it's going to be difficult for Half to get past him unless a mistake happens.
And the same can be said for Casobon and Bakum, even though they will have one more lap to complete. So 1.5 lap basically for them left in the race. So let's focus first on this battle then. Johan Hart trying his best.
He's going to be using up all of that boost where he can now. Most likely on this show, he's now 6 tenths behind. He's going to use everything up, but want to make sure that he doesn't get a slow drive out of the Casio triangle. I don't think Johan's going to be able to make it unless he sends it into here. He's too far back. It's really close on the brakes, so unless he can get him on the boost to the line, it's going to be Riccardo Schiavon's win. Week 4 here at Suzuka. A positive sim racing driver to see the two Coanda GT drivers. But what a race we had, Marco, between Johan Half and Schiavon.
That was absolutely fantastic. Let's see where the other class leaders are. And yes, we will get Fraser Williamson then first and the rest of the LMP2 field. I mean, it was a fantastic battle all around this beautiful Suzuka track, and all the 3 classes really put on a show, especially LMP1 and GTE. We're waiting for Fraser Williamson to come around. Ronnie Fantini is in second, so he had a very good race, Ronnie as well, and Alex Traynor as well is in third. These 3 have been more or less around this position for the entirety of the race. Like I said, very close to each other, never really fighting it out, but you know, that's a good win nonetheless. Nothing taken away from these 3 guys, especially of course the race winner here, Fraser Williamson, who takes the checkered flag and wins in the LMP2 class. Fantini second, Traynor is in third, and now we are just waiting for the arrival of the GT battle with Casobon in the lead. And he should be able to hold it as they come through the final corner.
I think Jack Sedgwick has run out of fuel. Marco, he's going very slowly and has lost a lot of positions.
He is. He absolutely is. Going very slowly, and I think he will finish, you know, I think there's no one else on the track behind him. I don't think he will be, I mean, the front stretch is going down the hill here at Suzuka, but he has to get there.
I believe he'll finish behind Jorn Jens and Bobby Zelensky. P8 overall.
I think he's parking the car.
Yeah, I don't think he can continue any further. I think he'll try to cross the line, but
he has to be careful because there are still cars running around. Of course, you have to also take into consideration that iRacing after a bit will, you know, declare the session over, which I think is what is about to happen. And I think it's what already happened, maybe not yet. Still waiting for. I think we are good to go with the race results then. So, as we watch the poor Jack Sedgwick's car, you know, trying to get through the start-finish line, we can go through the race results of the evening. Joseph, starting with the LMP1 field.
Yep, Riccardo Schiavon takes a fantastic win after battling with Johan Half race long. Johan finishing in P2. Michael Mittner faced early damage and making that early pit stop to finish in P3. Patrick Wolf faced issues throughout the race as well.
P4. P5 was the other Sim-RC driver of Christopher Waits. Alexi Lane, P6. Mark Harrison gaining 5 positions from his starting position in P7. Julian Ribolo staying where he is in 8th. P9 was Klaus Dietrich Schultz in the lone Audi today. Martin June in P10. Roberto Edouard in P11. Sylvain Moran in P12. Nicholas Schneider 3 laps down in P13. And our lone LMP1 DNF was Dylan Inman.
In the LMP2 field, winner of course was Fraser Williamson in front of Ronnie Fantini and Alex Traynor and Arkadiusz Neumann. In fourth, Michael Evdoka, the Euro V8 champion, rounding up the top 5. Then Jeremiah Morton, Temu Toika, Maria Olwek 1 lap down and running into some trouble, I think getting disqualified, was Carlos Benedi.
Yep, and Tiro Casabon, again, similar to LMP1, had a race-long battle with Mac Backham taking your win. Backham coming P2. And your Apex Racing Team driver, Ugolotti, P3. Williams Race Esports driver in P4. Kim Eriksson of Black Star Racing in P5. Bobby Zelensky and Jorn Jens, the commander pairing, in P6 and 7. And unfortunately, Jack Cedric down in P8 with him running out of fuel on that final lap. Xavier Rabo, P9. Dominic Blaja, P10. Barry Morrison, P11. Thomas Hines, P12. Andy Pears, P13. Arturo Amro, P14. Lars Moldenhauer, P15. And Dennis Branch was your lone GTE DNF.
Let's see if we have some interviews for you tonight. At the moment we don't have them, but we can have a little bit of a preview about what's coming next week. Like we said, from Watkins Glen Classic booth, and that, like I said earlier, Joseph, I think is going to be an interesting track, of course, because the Classic booth it's the long version of the Glen, but it doesn't have the bus stop chicane, and so, or the, should I say, the inner loop, and so Slipstream, especially for the LMP1 with their boost, it will provide. I mean, it's going to be good in the sense that they will not have, issues with a very, very tight and narrow chicane. But on the other hand, I've seen many series run that version of the track, and usually what happens is that you get the carousel 2, 3, even 4 wide sometimes.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for traffic. Obviously, it's not a particularly wide track, so especially early on. Yeah, going up those S's could prove interesting if they go sort of too wide. Maybe some incidents we might see there. The move of the chicane is one less regen point for the Audi, so I wouldn't really expect to see too many Audis, unfortunately, Marco. But I think it'll be a good track to watch some good battles, and I expect a really good race at Watkins Glen.
And of course, coming soon on Apex Racing TV, tomorrow we will have the final round of the Sim Racers World GT Championship, and that is going to be a special 75-minute race from Spa. And as one championship ends, that one, another one starts also tomorrow at the same time at 19 GMT, yes, because we are now in the daylight saving. And we will have, of course, the first round of the BSRTC live from Brands Hatch. And then on Saturday, we might have a surprise coming for you around lunchtime in Europe. But I wait to get the confirmation on that. And in the evening, there will be the Euro V8s with a triple header live from Sonoma in the Cup configuration. Then on Monday, we will be back with the MX5 Amateur Series. And we will have, of course, War GT, and in the night there will be Ricmotech. Tuesday it will be, of course, and of course War GT. We will have, of course, on Tuesday the MX5s running around, and on Wednesday back with the Le Mans Series and World F3. And Erwan Wostra, Mr. Audi, says, if I join with the Audi, what do I get? Well, you get an interview for sure, if next week you join with the Audi. But yeah, seems like, Joseph, we don't have any driver showing up for interviews, and I think we can call it a night.
Yeah, once again, a massive thank you to all the drivers turning up. Marco allowed me to commentate. Put on a fantastic race for us, the drivers, today. So me and Marco are very, very thankful to everyone who raced. And yeah, I guess it's goodbye from me. And goodbye from Marco. And we'll see you next week at Watkins Glen.